Hey everyone, how are y'all?
We're trying to get here. We're trying to get
Hey, we're only 1 whole minute late.
1 whole minute late.
It's better a little late than never.
Normally she gets on to me because I'm late, but this time we were both late. So.
Well, did you name it what I told you to name it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so yeah, we'll have a breakdown of in a minute of all of the total chaos. I don't even think is the word. Destruction, bombs. I mean,
Murphy's moved in. Have you heard that expression? You've never heard it, have you?
Mm-mm. But whoever Murphy is needs to get his stuff and go.
He's gotta leave.
It has just been
one thing after the other. Hey Marie, how are you? Hallie, how are you? Delightful Cottage, Miss Wendy, Miss Rebecca, Mandy, Sandy, Scott, y'all doing okay? Hello, Jennifer, Miss Lynn, Mr. Larry, Miss Darlene.
You know,
Miss Henry, supper 7. How are y'all?
when I thought the incident that happened right here the other day, when I thought that was bad, I was like, I don't think things could possibly go downhill until today. I think that was probably as equally as
Pamela.
bad.
Hey, Angel. Hey, Miss Terry. Big Dave, how are you? Hey, Kim. Hey, Val from UK. Always living the dream. No matter how bad it can be, it's always living the dream. Hey, Miss Joy. Hey, Miss Sue. So, what's been going on with y'all? It's been raining here, like literally raining. That was not the name of the video for that reason, but it's literally been raining here. Has it been raining at y'all's place? Thanks, Miss Mariah. She's excited to be here with us. Hey, Southern Bless Homestead, how's North Mississippi? Tornadoes. Yeah, I heard about that, Big Dave. I heard y'all had some bad tornadoes over that way. My sister lives in the middle side of going towards Tuscaloosa. She said she had a lot of rain, but it got more damage on the other parts of Alabama.
Rain and then snow. You know, it is supposed to drop off temperature here as well, but we are not going to get anywhere near snow.
It got cold a while ago. I went outside a while ago.
If it's going to be cold, I would rather it be pretty and cold, but we do not get snow in the South very often.
It's muddy and chilly here too.
That's what we get.
Hey, Miss
Kathy. And
hey, Miss Sue.
Rain. I'd rather it be white and cold.
What's so funny is we've got a video coming out this weekend on some of the updates of the room we've been building in secret from y'all. So, but what was pretty funny is that all of a sudden it started getting cold the day they cut the hole out to get to the bottom floor. So, like, we can't just run the heat because the heat will not be in the house. So
it'll go all upstairs in the attic.
Yeah. So
it's what's kind of cool. What will be cool tomorrow though is when they finish sheetrocking that door, we can at least like put 2 little nails up there and hang a blanket, kind of tuck it in the bottom. That'll keep a lot of it from going up.
I keep saying I'm gonna buy Bisqueen. I keep forgetting.
Thank you so much.
She always looks stunning.
I don't think so.
The secret room.
I've had a
hey, Karen. Hey,
interesting day to say the least. So
we don't really get snow. Hey, Moore, what's going on? I kind of wish we'd get snow.
Snowing in Kentucky. Wow.
And then when we get snow, it's like wet ice, terrible snow. It's not even like
what they call black ice.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like where
everything freezes and nothing's
our
pretty.
roads will hold water, but then it'll be cold and it'll freeze over. So black ice.
Yeah, we don't get that pretty stuff like y'all get.
The puffy, powdery, snowman-y kind of stuff.
We've gotten that once.
Once, I think.
Once in 30-something years.
Since I can remember.
Yep. She is that, Miss Rebecca. Hey, Marge. Hey, Big Dave said he made some more bread this past week.
Yay.
I think we're making it almost daily now.
I made a batch today and 1 loaf is already gone, which we had clubs tonight for supper, so that's why we went through a loaf so quick.
Mindful Homestead, man, I hope we can be a delight for you tonight. I got to see your little snippet from the news. So congratulations on that, Michael Homestead. Hey, homesteading pastor, how are you? Hey, Miss Irene. Hey, Miss Betty. So this has been a busy week. We have we've taken care of we've done everything there is possibly to do to a pig. We've done this week. We'll be smoking the bacon.
Did we talk about that last
Friday.
week?
Yeah, I kept saying the videos were coming out, but we actually hopefully have the videos going out starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the start of the pig videos. I thought it was going to be last week. It didn't work out. So we've got the whole pig broke down finally.
That he did in my living room.
Excuse her. I did it in the kitchen and in the living room. So let me tell you this story.
Technically, it was the foyer/dining room.
True. That is true. So let me tell you this story because this is not in the video. All right. So because the video is already too long. The pig story. All right. So we go to take these pigs. It's probably been, 3 weeks ago? Okay.
3.5 weeks.
We don't have a way to scald our pigs. So, and I'd rather skin our pigs, but in this case, we did scald them because we wanted to try it out. So we took our pigs. If you know our pink pigs, they follow buckets really well. So me and Aiden,
pink pigs just kind of jumped in there.
Yeah. So me and Aiden and Harley went, and we didn't show y'all that video, but basically we literally just walked them right to the trailer. It was less than about a minute and a half worth of work. So we took them up there basically just to slaughter, and that's really all, and to scald because we just don't have the availability to do it here yet. So, and then Misty, they called, of course, said the pigs were slaughtered. Misty went to get them. We let them stay there for a little bit because we wanted them to hang, and then we wanted them to sit and freeze. So Misty goes, she gets them. We got them back here, and because we wanted them cool and start to defrost by the time we were going to cut it up that night. Well, they were still frozen solid. So we got in a dilemma because we're sitting here with 400 pounds worth of pig laid out on the counter, and really not know what to do with it because we don't have a fridge big enough to hang a pig back in. That's the whole purpose. Hey, Lotus Farm.
Little Mountain Life.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly. So anyways, we put these pigs on a big makeshift table in our living room and foyer area. And I mean, again, and we talked about this last Wednesday about us getting them and putting them there, but they didn't defrost that night because that's when we were going to start cutting them up. So at 4 o'clock the next morning, they started defrosting like they were supposed to. So at the start of this video tomorrow, you'll see I'm very tired. But we started breaking down those pigs that morning around 4, and because I had to go to work. So we broke them down that morning, got them and put it in basically to the
it was a lot of steps. Like it wasn't all done at one time. It was like we had to kind of break it up into steps, but like Colby said, he had to do it around his full-time job, but it got done.
Yeah. So we did that this morning. I mean, that morning, broke them down, had to go to work. So we cut them up in primals that morning at 4 o'clock. Went to work, came back home, and again, you have nowhere to put 400 pounds worth of pig that's not cut up yet. So that afternoon, same thing. We're going back in, starting cutting it again. So we spent all that morning and afternoon cutting up that pig. So that video will come out tomorrow. The only thing is, please remember, it is long. So stay with me if you want to know how to put your pig the max way. So, but it's long.
Yeah, I will say, I think the pork chops.
Hey, James Brown.
Were the most beautiful pork chops I've ever seen.
Hey, Shelby.
So Colby did a great job. I was kind of on the cleanup crew. I did not help cut. He was like, you need to learn how to do that. And I was like, I think I'll pass. But okay, where are the heads? I saw that question come across. My parents, we are not head hog cheese kind of people. So
I'll eat jowl bacon, but we just didn't have time to deal with it this time.
My parents have some neighbors that wanted the heads. So we sent the heads and the tails.
Let's preface this. Sometimes families are in need. So this family is one of those families who will take anything you give them because they are in need. So they like the heads, so we give them the heads because it's free for them.
Tails and the neck bones. And
trotters.
There were several things that we sent to that family. So they were very thankful. This is the family that got them last time too. So I put it out on Facebook just to see if anybody wanted it, but nobody really. I did have a lady after I was like, okay, this is not going anywhere, and these heads have to get out of my kitchen, because I had like 2 pig heads sitting in my kitchen counter, and I was like, okay, there's only so long I can look at that before I start getting grossed out. So anyway, I went ahead and messaged my parents, and I was like, look, we have 2 more. If they want them, you know, we will make sure that they get them. And they did. They wanted them, so that's where they went.
Kelly Miller, we don't raise goats, but if, you know, most animals are pretty smart that if you've had it in the barn and it's been barn kept, to keep the ground better, it's probably better to waste the hay and put it on the ground so they cannot be just strictly in mud, because that's going to make them more sick than probably that hay that they would eat. So I would challenge you. I think that'd be fine to use.
Colby did cut his finger, but it wasn't bad, but it was just not, it was not cutting, it was picking up the knife.
I know what was so crazy. We butchered 400 pounds worth of pig, and the 2 things that I got cuts the day I did it, and one was a paper cut, like right there on the end of my finger, and that was just cleaning off the knife, because our knives are very sharp. And the next one,
acres.
The next cut was on my hand, right on the edge, where part of the rib cage, when I was moving it upstairs to our freezer, the rib cage cut me. So how crazy. It wasn't even actually butchered. It was the crazy things.
Yeah, thinking about eating the meat off of a pig head kind of makes me want to vomit.
Val Pollard, I've actually ate hog head cheese, and
I have not.
I've actually smoked a head. We used to smoke the whole hog in a big smoker when we were kids, and we would eat off of it. A lot of people do that around here. So that's very common to do a big smoked pork and have kind of like a big family dinner on the grounds kind of thing. So we baked that, and we baked the jowl and all that, but it was just too hard with everything else going on. All the things acres. How are you? Trying to catch everybody up. I missed. How did you deal with the smell? I don't do blood, pus, or abscesses. Okay, so that's why you want your pig cool. So anytime you butcher your pig, if you have slaughtered your pig, you need to let it cool. I will say there
was no smell in the house. If there would have been a nasty smell, I would have been like, out you go.
Well, to me, anytime
it really was not.
Anytime you do any animals, when it's hot, they're gonna smell, and it's gonna be harder to deal with. And anybody that butchers pigs or any animals, when your chickens, it's cool outside, chickens do better, turkeys do better, pigs do extremely better, because all the fat, you can cut better when they're cool than warm. And same way with deer. That's why deer is so much easier. Hey, Carly, I'm sorry. I tried to, I missed your call earlier.
And look, it has been nuts. Nuts. So let me just give y'all a little
we just got home.
Bit of what has been going on. I can't even remember the first incident that happened. What was the first? Because we've had
the dishwasher or the stove? The dishwasher.
It was so first our dishwasher went out. So I've been hand washing dishes for like 2 weeks, which is really not a big deal. I'm thankful to be able to do that for my family. When you have when you're a family of 7 that's eating, Libby, you can't
every
meal, morning, lunch, and supper. You're talking 7 cups, 7 sets of dishes. Plus all the dishes that you cook with and all of that. So it was very time consuming. So, but that's okay. I did it, but it wasn't the most fun job, but I did it. So the dishwasher went out, and I was like, I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And we never could get it to drain. Yeah. Colby messed with it a lot. And we think that the drain pump had gone out. So we had already replaced several things on the dishwasher, a piece of the control panel, the heating element on it. So we were like, okay, we're not putting another penny back in this. So we knew we already had to buy a dishwasher. Yep. Then what else happened?
Well, first of all, let's go back and say this. Y'all know we're doing the reno upstairs. So we're paying for the reno as we go, because we don't like debt. So on top of us doing that, that's when we talked about the Murphy. So the first thing was the dishwasher.
The dishwasher went out, so we had to buy a new dishwasher. Then I opened I have a set of cabinets that has a shelf that is put in by pegs. Well, one of my pegs slipped out, and I opened and I didn't notice it. I opened the cabinet and went to pull a dish down, and when I pulled the dish down, the cabinet slipped out. And you're talking, I probably had, I don't do plastics here. We either use stainless steel or glass. So all of the dishes up there were glass. And 2 of them were Colby's grandmother's that we had just gotten. They were real thick milk, kind of like this milk glass, but the clear version of it. And then I had a basket of eggs on top of my Excalibur dehydrator, which was sitting right under the shelf. So when the shelf fell, every glass dish hit the floor except for one, and it went into the eggs. So I busted, we've had a slow egg production this winter, which has been very different for us. But the one fell in that and busted all the eggs. The other dishes fell on the floor and busted. I had glass everywhere. It was probably 6 or 7 dishes that hit the floor. Big glass mixing bowls that busted.
30 foot away.
But the worst part is on the other side of the room, one of those big, thick milk glass pieces that hit a chunk of it flew off and hit the glass door.
And busted it.
And busted a panel in the glass door. So I'm like, okay, so the shelf has fallen. I have a huge pan of busted eggs, glass all over the floor, and a glass busted in the window. And I was like, okay, this is not good. This is terrible.
So then we add to it by Aiden hooks the door off, this new Suburban that we've got. He rips the handle off the door. And I'm thinking, how in the world?
Pulls the whole back handle comes off.
The whole door handle. Who does that? I told him, I said, do you need to
this is just the
have
start.
Anger issues or something? He really didn't. But he just pulled the door handle off. So again, then we couldn't get into the door of the SUV. Then it starts raining. And
no. We have big columns on our back porch.
Sorry. I skipped one.
We have big columns on the back porch.
10 by 10 by 10s.
That our saltwater pool had basically rotted some of the bottom out on them, and they hold up
call me Teddy.
Our gate that keeps Jennings and the other kids out. So we knew that we were going to eventually have to replace those. Well, since we're doing all the renovation, we told the guys, look, you're already here. We'll get the boards here. If y'all will just change those out while you're here. So they did that. And that night, it started storming.
Yeah, it started storming that night. So those columns are not cheap. They're 10 by 10 by 10. So we had to go from a pine to a cypress post. And that is not cheap. And that is scary and make you pass out when we had to put those two columns up. So on top of that, we had a little spot on the outside sheetrock. We didn't think much about it. We thought it was just hurt from us cleaning it off and over time. Well, what we did is when we actually put the new post in, it opened up.
Roof
well, it didn't shift it even more. It didn't shift it a lot, but what it did, it made a problem that we were already having
worse.
So
when it started raining that night, y'all seen us sit in front of the fireplace before, rain started pouring in.
I mean, when I say a little, no, a lot.
There was
it's like
a huge spot on the top of the ceiling on the sheetrock, all over the floor. I'm looking at it. It's right across from me. Then there was a puddle on the floor, so we had to get all that cleaned up. And now we have a roofer involved with this whole shebang.
Yeah.
And then what else has happened in between? Oh, then the oven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then the oven goes out. So we're making bread. Now we're making bread in our little. I think we're using Harley's Easy Bake Oven because that's the only one that broke yet. I'm joking. So we're using our
the heating element went out in my main oven. So I've had to kind of adjust to making a lot of food to portion to where I used to could put my meat, my potatoes, and a vegetable or whatever else.
Call me Teddy. That's been this last week, probably the last 4 or 5 days.
In the oven, I've had to adjust to doing meat here, stovetop vegetables, and stuff like that. But that's not all.
What was next?
Today.
Oh yeah. So then we got the reno going on, and I keep going back to that because a lot of this has nothing to do with the renovation. But everything
that has stemmed
from it. So Misty had, when you're doing something, it's just a mess in your house. And so they went from the attic to working downstairs in the rooms to get the staircase built.
Which means cutting sheetrock and cutting wood. And so they're tracking,
that's a mess.
They're tracking sawdust in on top of the sheetrock dust.
So Misty's got one of those, and I don't want to say the name, but Misty's got one of those, nicer vacuums that
it's called a Serena.
It's a Serena, and I was trying not to say it because it's a good one because it came back and it's doing a lot better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Acres, thank you.
So then Misty was going to go vacuum our new steps that are just raw steps going up.
I was just trying to keep the kids because the kids are like fascinated with the steps. So they were going up and down the steps, which means they were tracking everywhere. So I was just trying to I had already cleaned up the majority of the house.
Thanks so much.
So I wanted to get the steps done so that when they were going up the steps, they wouldn't track everywhere that I had just cleaned. But you weren't home.
I wasn't home. So I get to a point now where I don't know if I need to answer the phone anymore because then Harley calls. She's like, okay, Mama, you need to come home. Mommy has destroyed the vacuum.
Okay, so this is what happens. I'm up the steps. I've got to the top, and I was vacuuming some of the platform up there because there's sawdust everywhere up there too. So I was vacuuming some of that. Now this is a water, like it has a pan in the bottom that you fill up with water, and then you connect your vacuum to the top, and it's got a long suction that's kind of got like a piece on the end like that sucks. So I was using that to suck up that stuff. And when I got to the top, I was going kind of around in a circle, sucking up some of that sawdust. And my vacuum rolls on wheels. Well, the back one caught the edge of the step.
It rolled the wrong way.
Backwards. So it goes down the steps. And the steps, we said, were 14 feet up.
Something like that.
13. So it goes all the way down.
Kind of, Kim.
It goes all the way down. The bucket comes off.
Which is full of water.
And sawdust. Spills all over the sheetrock, all over the steps, all over the floor, all over the concrete. Hits the concrete. I have pieces everywhere. And I'm like, at this point, I'm about ready to cry. Because that was my favorite vacuum. I mean, it has done everything I wanted it to do. And at this point, I was like, okay, I'm about ready to cry. I just killed my vacuum cleaner. And
killed it.
I picked the motor part up and plugged it in, and it wouldn't turn on. So at this point, I'm really about to cry. And then Colby comes in, and he's all flustered. And I'm like, this is not the time. So I take everything out, throw it in the garage. I'm like, it's broke. It's not going to work. I mean,
Daniel, at
this point in time, I don't know what else to do. So I had.
It's a Serena, Kim.
So S-R-I-E.
No. Yeah. S-R-I-N-A.
I think is how you spell it.
It's kind of like the rainbows, but it doesn't have the multi-level marketing price in it. So
yeah,
because it's not multi-level marketing,
but it's the same principle. It's got the motor with the water in the bottom. It's the same principle, but like a fourth of the price. But I have loved it. I've had it for well over a year, and I absolutely love it.
It's phenomenal.
But I killed it, so I threw it out in the garage. And when I finally cooled off, and I had to finish sweeping with like a regular broom, and I got over into our big panels of windows, and I was sweeping, and I could see the sawdust going everywhere, and then I got even more upset because like I'm not really sweeping this stuff up; it's just Jamie, going everywhere.
You're gonna take me away. That's pretty funny.
So anyway,
yeah, I want 2020 back. Forget 2021. Bump this. I'm going back to 2020.
So anyway, I once I finally cooled off, I went out there and I was like, okay, let me see if I can get it to work again. I plugged it up, tried to turn it back. I had just had the motor piece. It wouldn't come on. So I come in and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Google or YouTube one and see if I can find a reset button. And, because I had a big mess to clean up, so it just took a little while with the water all over the sheetrock and all that. There was sawdust, wet sawdust everywhere. It was just terrible. So I got all that cleaned up. So I said, I'm going to see if there's a reset button. Because, some things have a little reset button that you can push, and it'll kind of start it back over. But I could not find anything about a reset button. But I did read where the whole thing has to be put together before it'll come on. That was in one of the troubleshooting things that I had read. So I went back out there. I got all the pieces together, put it back together, and it turned on. So I was very, very, very glad of that. Now,
that didn't happen with the oven or the dishwasher.
Yeah, that didn't happen with anything else. But I'm like, I need my vacuum. So I put, like I said, I had pieces everywhere. The little top motor part that sits on the water suction part has two little latches on the side that latches it and holds it together because it's like a two-piece machine. And those are broke. The plastic pieces that connected the top latch that kind of clipped to the bottom, that those pieces were completely broke off. So it's just going to have to sit on there, and it's pretty heavy. You would have to really rake on it to pull the top off. So I'm fine with that, knowing that at least I still have it, but it was covered in wet sawdust. So I had to wipe it up and get it cleaned up, and I had to put springs back in place and all kinds of stuff, y'all. It was bad.
It's been crazy.
It was bad.
It's been crazy.
I think that was probably worse than the glass thing because the wet sawdust, it was all over the sheetrock, all over the steps, all under the steps because it had went through the steps. I mean, it was just, it was a mess.
But you know what's so crazy is we got the columns, we got the dishwasher, we still have the oven fixed. We're waiting on the piece to come in. Yeah. We'll fix it ourselves. And then
the piece was like, it will be here 2 weeks later.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, so all this stuff's gotten fixed. So it's good that it's gotten fixed. However, it costs money. So, on top of the renovation going on and
ties to the rest.
Just everything. It's just all something crazy. So one of the things we can fix the stove. We're gonna fix it by hand.
Well, the thing about the top and the bottom is I have to unlatch it and take it off to be able to dump the water and clean the bottom pan out. So I'm constantly putting that on and off.
Yeah, so you can't strap it down like a permanent strap down.
Yeah, because like the little clips sat on the top and they like just snapped in.
Julie,
and then when I got ready to clean it, I just unsnapped it and took the top off and took my little bottom pan and dumped it outside and then rinsed that little bottom pan out till it was clean. And then you put it back together. So
Carlene's, we have made homemade pasta noodles before. We actually did not roll them out through a roller. We did by hand because we were doing more of an Alfredo noodle. I made them, and don't get me wrong, they're. I mean, if you've never made homemade pasta, it's real thick and nothing like you'd buy at the store. Now I'll tell you who you can watch, who is a phenomenal pasta maker. I think it's the name of the channel.
Part-time Permies.
Yeah, Part-Time Permies. That guy can make some food.
I can't remember his name though.
Gosh, Daniel, you're on here. You'll know what's Part-Time Permies' name. Sydney and Mike. Mike and Sydney from Part-Time Permies. They actually did a tutorial. They did a tutorial on making noodles, and they're phenomenal. He's a chef.
Well, actually, they worked with the kids when we were in Michigan. They were there at the Hootenanny.
But they are phenomenal.
Now, Miss Kathy was there too.
That's right.
Miss Kathy was there, so she might remember.
What's up, Craig?
I'm sure she probably remembers. The kids had a good time making those noodles.
Big Dave, the bungee cords may work. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I might have to look at that and see if I can get it somehow to the top to connect. The bottom has a little thing I could clip on, but I don't know if I would have a piece on the top to get the bungee cord to connect to. I'll have to look at it, but that's a good idea. See, that's why y'all are so cool.
I know. Miss Rebecca, I don't know why anybody calls them pasta noodle. We call them noodles. I don't ever call anything pasta.
Has my video published yet on the Alfredo sauce?
No.
Yeah, see, we have so much content. I mean, there's times we get so far behind. But I have an Alfredo sauce. It's so easy and it's so good. Homemade Alfredo sauce.
You can put it on tortellini, on fettuccine, linguine, whatever noodles you like.
It's really good. And it's really, really easy too.
That's right.
Because I can't do a lot of complicated. I have to do something easy. And it is so easy. Throw it all in the pot, warm it up, and it's done. It's pretty easy.
And it's homemade, and it tastes better than any Alfredo you ever made.
Yeah, any store bought.
It's so easy. Like we hate to make the video because it's gonna probably kill our minutes because it's that small and that short and that easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. But yes, like Miss Lynn says, y'all please share, because it really is easy, and a lot of people. I know for me, if I find something in the cabinet and I'm like, well, crap, I don't have this that goes with it, then that's kind of like one of those things. If you have like tortellini in the freezer or whatever, and you pull it out, but you don't have any Alfredo sauce, make it.
Oh my gosh,
so
I could not
easy.
imagine being allergic to tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Call me Teddy.
To tomatoes.
Hey Sam, what's going on? Hey, our the chicks will be here tomorrow or the next day, one of the next 2 days, just to let you know. Daniel, we do back up our content to we don't do it to the cloud. We do it to a little terabyte machine, and we take all our videos. We take all the content that builds the videos.
It's coming out, Big Dave.
So
it hasn't been published yet.
We need to do another backup of the YouTube videos, really, in all truthfulness.
Thank you so much, Lori.
How much rain do y'all have? Well, in two senses. When the rain and pour is more the Murphy movie, and is the name of the video, Miss Marie. But we have gotten a lot of rain this last 2 days. Actually, our video Friday will show how much rain. You'll see our creek and how it overflows. So that'll be coming up Friday. Tomorrow's a pig butchering video. Friday is the wetness video. You'll see it's just rain like crazy. Saturday and Sunday, Misty has a great video on lard, rendering our lard down. So you'll see a video on leaf lard getting rendered.
Yeah, see, we have enough content for probably the next week and a half.
And then Sunday, you actually get a bonus video this week if you like the Mac. So Sunday, we'll probably have the Alfredo video going out. So we have a bunch of videos coming out. A lot on the hog, but then a lot on, of course, our normal vlogs. Little Frenchie in Big Texas. Good evening, everyone new here. Thanks for coming on. We're talking about all the crazy things that's happened to us. So, thanks, Daniel. You know, our problem with making daily videos, and we pretty much post 5 to 6 a week.
Almost every day.
It's not the content for us; it's to get them edited. And if I didn't, I'm literally, my day starts pretty early. So Misty laughed at me yesterday. I never sleep late, and yesterday I slept.
Yesterday?
Was it yesterday or the day before? No, day before.
It was the day before.
Yeah. So if I'm not milking, I try to work out, or I do business work. We do some consulting and budgeting for our group. So between those 3 things, I'm up every day early, and editing is one of those things I do that morning. Well, 2 days ago, I slept till 7. Like my wife, I think she thought I was dead. She started kicking me. She said, "Do you know what time it is? It's 7 o'clock." I've never slept that late. So.
He's never I don't think I've ever slept that late. Years that I can remember. Like maybe on our honeymoon or something. I mean, it's been years. It's been a long time.
All right, let's see. I got 8 beds for Christmas. I caught a local farm. No stones.
Oh no, sorry. I'm terribly sorry about that.
Bake a leg. I don't think that it'd be bad. I think that as long as you got from a local farm and you can trust the farm, like there's a local person here who makes dirt too, or makes topsoil. It tends to be a little bit more on the bark and sand side more than it is compostable dark soil. The color comes more from the bark. So just be careful. I think that's fine. I'd take a soil sample of it if you doubt it. Yeah, not enough rain for the art, but it's pretty close. Daniel, I know, man, when I woke up at 7, I get mad at myself when I wake up that late because I really don't have time to sleep. I know that sounds terrible. That sounds so terrible. But it's like sometimes I'm like, I have to get up.
And see, I tell him you have to take care of yourself and get enough rest. And when he gets back to milking, we usually try to get in the bed between 10:30 and 11. Sometimes it's 11 or a little after, and then he's usually up at 4, and that's just not enough. I can't function under that kind of sleep. I have to have sleep. I have to have rest. And yeah, see, Miss Kathy, she said you need rest.
I get rest. If I can get 4 to 5 hours a night, I'm good. I'm happy with that.
But that's not enough for your health. It's not.
Probably not.
They say the more rest you're able to get, the healthier you are.
You would agree with that, wouldn't you?
I would definitely agree with that.
If my wife could sleep more, she would.
Sleep is a very underutilized vitamin. I completely agree with that.
Bake a leg and let's dig it. I always add amendments to my soil. So if I'm not using a starter, I will turn around and if you're looking for nitrogen, you got fish emulsion, you've got kelp emulsion or liquid kelp. You have cottonseed meal. You have that's what I would typically look at if you're looking for nitrogen. If you're trying to neutralize your soil, add some coffee grounds, some wood ash would help neutralize the soil, or just regular lime, as long as you get an organic lime. Diatomaceous earth helps the soil. So we always add amendments every time we do something, and then we buy organic fertilizer and use to put in there, or compost. Manure, you can buy bagged manure now, as long as it's organic. I would definitely put that in there because that's only going to help your soil to pH balance.
4 to 5 hours of sleep. Little Frenchie in Big Texas said it's very little. Miss Kathy said sleep is very underrated. And then I saw somebody, I do 8 hours. I'm usually, I would say about 8 to 10 hours.
Worms castings are huge, Henry's honey. If you're not raising your red wigglers to make your own worm castings, it can get pricey buying worm castings, but that is a great additive, especially if you're doing smaller beds. Do y'all fertilize blueberry bushes in any way? The best way, Hallie, is to pine straw. Put pine straw around them in the dead dormant season.
Because they like acidic soil.
They do.
And pine straw will turn your soil acidic.
So make sure.
And they will thrive in that. Right.
If you have any kind of alkalinity in your soil or a very alkaline soil,
your bushes will basically die.
That's right. You will not produce fruit. And if it's producing bushes and not enough fruit, then you're probably not acidic enough. So we keep pine straw around our blueberry bushes.
But as far as fertilizing,
we don't fertilize.
Not fertilizer. Now I have used chicken fertilizer.
Yeah.
And I don't put it close, but just put it in the area. And of course, the rain will spread it out itself and dilute it some itself. But do not ever put chicken fertilizer directly on anything, or it will burn it. It's just too strong. But in the general area, I have scooped up like hay and pine shavings and stuff that has chicken manure in it, and just kind of spread it around in the area, and it feeds the ground.
Mr. Mack, you know those folks that make fun of you at work being frugal? Just wait. It will not be long until they're asking you for advice. It's funny. I get hit up a lot for advice.
If he charged a consultation fee for all the advice he gives in finances, we would be millionaires.
Yeah. We must be doing
Rehab
something
Life,
right.
Thank you. Did you just say hey to them?
I did. You weren't listening.
Sorry.
Hey, Rehab Life. I've already said it. Yeah, so we are frugal, and it's funny because people make fun of us, and they're like, crap, they must be doing something right. So they usually come and hit us up.
Look, I always say if you can buy something used, buy it used. Just make sure it's not a piece before you buy it used. And there are some things that are worth buying new, but for the most part, buy used if you can buy used.
Lotus blossom blackberries, don't grow them in wet soil. Grow them in a almost a wild environment. They do good in like food forages. No, blackberries.
Yeah.
Grow them almost like you do elderberry, or you don't care about them. I mean, make them where they grow almost wild.
I'm kind of excited to see what our raspberry bushes are going to do.
This is our first year. Well, we had 2 raspberries, and they didn't do good because they were in wet soil. We planted them up by the house, and they are doing well now. Mm-hmm. We're not those.
They were babies.
Yep.
Like this big when we got them. Well, we actually Stella rated the ones. We had like 3 or 4. This was like their first season. They had only been there a few months, but they did give us like 3 or 4, and Stella rated them. She saw that's her favorite fruit is raspberries.
Hallie, there's nothing wrong about putting rabbit droppings around them for sure. That's a cold manure, so that you could easily do that right on them. So that'd be fine.
Pine needles on blueberries
around
the bottom,
like you're mulching,
right? So that's the only thing that we put on our blueberries when we're covering them for winter.
Miss Kathy, blueberries don't spread like raspberries or strawberries do, but they can produce more
new like shoots
growth
in the bottom.
That's right. Not as
ours
often.
has spread.
They have, but not as often as like you'd see a strawberry jumping or raspberry jumping.
Right. Strawberries tend to vine.
Yeah.
But blueberries almost like put off new shoots from the bottom. System. Right. You said root. That's what I meant. I'm a little tired. Levy was not great. That was her first night. Last night was her first night. Speaking of sleep, she couldn't get comfortable. She was kind of all over the place. We went to bed at 11. In between 11 and 1, I had been up with her 3 times. And usually I don't get up with her but twice during the night. She just like couldn't get comfortable. She was a little unsettled. And finally at about 1, I was like, it is your turn.
I know. I was up last night with her for about an hour and a half. Miss Rebecca says, Colby, we have a long line of pine trees down our property, but we have an area our line will not survive. Any ideas? Are you talking about
I guess she means like a section of trees that just keep dying. It sounds like something might be in the soil.
Actually, sounds like to me, pine trees grow really easy, especially like in our area. If pine trees are dying, there's usually a bug in them. So
She says it's a line. I wonder.
Let us know a little bit. Elaborate on that, Miss Rebecca. Make sure we're understanding your question.
Usually it is, but it might be something in the soil in that area that is causing them, like maybe some type of bacteria or something that they're not liking. Hallie, called up on comments.
No, Hallie, we do not prune our blueberries. People get on to us, but they make better. I'm getting to a point where I'm sick of hearing people tell me prune things, and please don't take that wrong, people. Every time we prune something, it tends to do worse. So from now on, we're going with a wild approach. Just let her bump.
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
I did that with my strawberries, y'all, and I could kick myself now because we made a whole strawberry patch. Mm-hmm. It was like 70 something, like almost 80 plants.
We have a video on it.
And I was told that and I even read some of this, like doing research, that if you will, the first year, if you will sacrifice your berries and like clip them, like snip them off and all your blooms and everything, that it sends more energy to your roots and allows your plant to grow bigger and become more established because your plant is not putting all of its energy into the berries, is putting it in the root system and the top. So the next year when your bush starts to put off berries, that your berries will be even bigger because your plant is bigger and it has a more established root system, which makes sense to me. But when I started clipping those off, I had plants start dying. I had some that, they just looked terrible.
I agree.
It was like it weakened my plant, and then I was getting bug infestations on them, and
Miss Kathy did say a good point. In our area, we're very humid and wet, so every time, like Misty was just saying, when we prune in our area, even though people say do pruning, it tends to cause disease for our.
We noticed that in our tomatoes this year too.
Everything from strawberries to everything.
I would say the only thing that you probably really need to look at
herbs. We do prune herbs.
Well, I was talking about an apple tree. Let me think.
Peach, sweetheart, peach.
Peach. I know peach for sure, but there's an apple needs a leader.
Peach and plum need upside umbrella.
Right. Like my brain is not working right now.
You need.
But those are the only ones I would say. But if you could get those in baby stage and do that, then it might be worth it, because we did prune that plum tree and it took years for it to get established and put off. But when it put out, it has done amazing. And I actually took a class on pruning. It was just a very short, kind of informative class. It was a few hours worth of teaching, and I did learn a lot. But like our tomatoes, which is what I was going to say, for example, a lot of people talk about single stem this, single stem that. Well, we pruned them heavy. We tied them up. We did so much. We did. And we got the worst production in our big garden ever.
But we let them go wild in the other spots. And we probably had just about the same amount off a less amount of tomato plants. Yep. Miss Rebecca, I would do a soil sample or either check for infestations in that area. There, sometimes in certain like forestry areas, and you might want to even talk to a forester or a horticulturist in your area or extension service from your county. There could be a bug in that soil that tends to cause issues with those tap roots. Because remember, pine is tap rooting down, so they're not spreading. So you could be getting a problem with that, something in that soil right there. So a soil sample and a horticulture might be good to check. Make sure you don't have bugs.
Stacey, if your blueberries did awful in one area, you did the right thing to move them. I would highly recommend pine straw, and do some organic fertilizers to help get them established, and then pine straw, because that is the biggest thing. They like acidic soil. And we have a fruit area that we put blueberries in, and they do not do well in that area. And we have the same exact blueberries planted in 2 different areas, and they are doing amazing. And we've never soil sampled those areas, even though we probably should. But we've always kept pine straw in the areas that we're talking about because they were regular beds before, like regular rows and stuff like that. We had barks and pine straws and stuff in that area, which caused that area to be more acidic. So,
yes, Miss Marie, we call it pine straw here. A lot of people call it pine needles.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. This is a South thing. Everybody calls it straw here. You either have hay straw or pine straw
for bedding for strawberries. Yeah, and strawberries, if I'm not mistaken, like acidity too. I remember reading a good bit about strawberries last year when I started having all the trouble, and I put fish emulsion.
Delightful College, that is a good point. If they're near a power company line, they will smoke them. Mm-hmm. That's a good point too.
Yep.
Let's see. I think
because they don't want any trees, limbs, bushes, or vines on their lines. Just made a rhyme.
I like that, and it rhymes with lime. Yeah, you can. In dormancy is actually some of the best time that we used to put pine straw. We put pine straw usually every winter.
In dormancy, we've got to get those elderberries in the ground. I know you didn't do it this weekend, but
I really don't want to wait till at least maybe one more week or 2.
I just don't want them to try to start growing and then we shock them.
We're going to be planting some elderberry when we do our potatoes, which is probably the next week or 2.
Colby said we have 2 or 3 out there, but we actually have like 10.
We do.
So, and those are all from cuttings that I got. Elderberry is so easy to root.
It's like the easiest thing to root.
It is the easiest tree/shrub. Like I have tried blueberries, I have tried blackberries, I have tried mulberries. What else have I tried to establish roots on all of these?
And tons of herbs, but really
the herbs are good, but
the
fruits and stuff, like I cannot get them to root except for elderberry. It is so easy.
Excuse me. All right, Miss Kathy, you are correct. Roots and Refuge said they lost their bees because of power company spraying. Here's what they always tell me. We had the same issue. Misty's talked about this on the live before.
I have run them people down.
They don't spray at our place anymore because they're like those crazy folks. Because we went after them.
I went chasing after this man. I was like, hey.
Every time they sprayed before, we would always have bees swarm. They'd spray early spring, and it would cause our bees to swarm. So
not all of them, but we would have like certain ones we would notice. They would just leave. I mean, you could just see them just leaving.
And it was always after they sprayed, and it was always like they were like that probably wasn't us. I'm like, right. Yeah. I have a little.
So I went and I literally chased that man through the yard, and then when I got to him, I gave him a 411, a rundown of bees. And I sat there and I told him and I talked to him and I informed him. He
probably left. He was like, that lady is nuts. Nobody is allowed to come back to this crazy place.
But I mean, I really wanted him to understand the importance of not spraying.
Rebecca, that's going to be it then.
Because of how it affects the bees. The bees are our pollinators. The pollinators.
10 ounce.
We depend on bees to help us produce food, and I mean, I gave him the whole rundown, y'all.
I told one guy came up there, and on easements, remember, they don't have to tell you that they're on there. So like Miss Rebecca, they don't have to tell you they're spraying. That is their 10-foot easement. They can do whatever they want to do. They can do anything they want to do. And so one guy came up there one day to read one of our meters, and he had one of those backpack sprayers on, and which I don't even know why he was going to our meter. I said, I said, that meter sits right by those bees, and there's like 15 houses right there, or 12 houses right there. And I said, sir, I said, with all due respect, if you ever spray that stuff right there, I said, they're just going to light you up. Well, anyways, it scared him so bad he never came back. He does that little, that little hot reader thing where it reads it from the truck. So he don't spray here anymore either.
Well, and the thing about it, this is what makes me mad. If we let all this back here be junk and stuff was growing all over their stuff where they couldn't get to it, okay, I could understand them coming in and spraying down everything and blah, 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 blah. I could understand that. But we don't. We keep up our stuff. There's not a tree branch on any of their lines. There's not even a piece of grass touching nothing. I mean, we keep our stuff up back here. So that's why I was so frustrated. But I just, I went out there and I approached it like this to educate him and let him understand the importance of bees.
Educate him. That's a nice way.
I did. I educated him.
It's a nice way to say you let him have it.
But I did tell him that, he couldn't be back here spraying, so that he would kill our bees.
Have you had any more trespassers? No, we buried them a few days ago.
He is so lying.
No, we haven't. We haven't, and we got that bigger chain, so we're watching closely. It's funny though, because I think we're supposed to be more worried about it, but I guess because we're just not worried about it. Because I'm thinking, if you come any closer to our house, it's going to be bad. So as of right now, we've not had any more trespasser issues.
Ms. Rebecca said I educate people daily. Well, I do with the kids, but this was like I gave him a rundown. So we hadn't had any trespassers anymore, so that's good. On the east side of our property, there, like I said, there's one little spot that we need to go ahead and fence back off to finish it up. It's actually on our pond. If y'all know where our pond is, it's like a slough. And I always said that, it's kind of hard for anybody to get in there, but walking, you still could get in there. So we're going to go close it up. Boots on. Yeah, I mean, you'd lose a shoe or two, but you might be barefoot. And I hope you can run fast because the alligator.
Yeah, that's the alligator lot.
That's where the alligators hang out over in that area.
They do. They really do. They really do. See, they like that. It's a good answer, I said. Yes, Miss Johnny, sometimes we get some trolls. Sometimes we're that cool. So hopefully
we are not that cool.
We paid them, so they're coming. They'll come here once in a while. I'm just joking. But I will say this: be looking, Big Dave. We grow ours.
I saw that question a while ago. I forgot to answer it.
You can handle that one.
I would recommend starting them off in pots and let them get established. But once they probably get 3 or 4 feet tall, they do need the ground. They grow very quick and they grow very big. So I would recommend, but they're only going to get as big as their root system will allow them. So if they're confined to a pot, they may only get so big and then not grow. And the thing with elderberries is you want a big, huge bush. I mean,
they're put off more.
They're as big as like a tree, but they're actually considered an elder bush. But the bigger the bush is, the more obviously berries you're going to be able to get. So I always do my cuttings, root my cuttings. When I get my cuttings established in water, I plant them in soil
and grow with it.
And then I let my pots grow until I get a good sized little tree.
Yeah.
Or a good sized little bush, and then I transplant it into the ground. And if you will be looking for that video, because Colby will get some footage of us when we get those in the ground. But obviously, the more confined the root system is, it's not going to grow. It's only going to grow to a certain extent.
Daniel, we had a video on one of the alligators we caught last year. It's I think it was new. It was the new animals on the farm.
It was almost 6 feet.
No, it was 8 foot.
Oh.
That one was 8 foot.
Maybe we guessed 6.
Yeah, we guessed 6, and you were like, you were way wrong. But that video's name, I think, was like new animals, but new alligators.
You should put a sign, killer alligators and bees.
I know, I really am. I think I'm supposed to start putting warning.
Beware alligators
Terrible
and bees.
They hate people. They hate strangers. They know who you are. Pet alligators in the moat.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that last year about it being illegal to cut elderberries in California or take cuttings from it. That's crazy because here all of our elderberries grow wild, and they're typically like by rivers or streams or like in the ditches. Well, you typically in the ditches is where power lines run, so they constantly get sprayed and killed. So it would be wise for somebody to take cuttings and continue to grow that variety. Because that's what I have done here. Because if you go out to just about any of our ditches, like along the roadside,
and this fuchsia log,
they have been sprayed with no telling what that kills them off. So,
Daniel, this one was caught by a wrangler, an alligator wrangler. It was so big, and he did. They do eat it. The smaller one, I've ate alligator tail, and we've done the little gator balls before, but we did not eat that one.
Super common in South Mississippi and
Louisiana especially. Trader Joe's, I have a job, but also a full-time. We run a full-time farm too. We have 2 full-time jobs. Actually, I was just telling Misty, I think we have like 7 full-time jobs. That's why I don't sleep.
Well, YouTubing could almost be a job in itself outside. I mean, I know it's on the farm, but farming is a job, and YouTube is basically a job between all the editing and stuff that you have to do.
Definitely. Yeah, keep the rules in California. We don't need them here in the SEAL. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed some of your comments. If you want to throw them in all caps, like Miss Kathy said, that does help. But yes, I do have a full-time job, and I still have
the elderberries can grow huge, and elderberries grow in swampy parts on our back property. Yes, that's what I was saying. Along the creeks and down in ditches that hold water and stuff, that's like where they thrive. They love that wet, dampy soil. Anywhere off in the woods, they do okay in full sun, but they really, really like part sun and a very low-lying area that would hold a lot of water, which is what I wouldn't expect that, but that's where they like to grow.
Yeah, where you think that it's the most junkiest hedge to grow, that's usually where elderberries grow. Yeah. Zone 8 bake-a-leg, we start them Good Friday. Well, we actually start in the greenhouse before Good Friday. We'll start in the greenhouse usually in March.
I really, really need to get some of my herbs planted.
So in March, early March, we'll start our seedlings. But we won't go into the ground until Good Friday. Limit to a week. We used to try to do 3 a week, but to be honest with you, if we only did 2 to 3 videos a week, it might be easier on us getting them done, but we would never get enough content to you. So we want you to know what we do. I believe if we did 2 or 3.
We're already so far behind. Yeah. Like I recorded that Alfredo video last weekend.
So the day in the life vlogs that we're doing is the ones you see, and we're usually about a day or 2 late on those. But then we have the how-to videos, which is for instance, the lard video coming up, the pig butcher and the bacon video, the Alfredo video. All of those are our how-tos. So we throw our how-tos in there too. So then if we did a day in the life and our how-tos only 2 or 3 days a week, we would be like 3 weeks behind.
Mr. Hank, how are you?
How about you, Hank? What's up, man? Thanks, Trader Joe, very much. So we try to post daily or at least 5 to 6 days a month out on videos. Yeah, we post a lot. So I don't know. We probably shouldn't post as much. I didn't post yesterday. That was the first time I had posted on Tuesday. Oh my gosh, probably no telling how long.
I wouldn't say that elderberries are invasive like blackberries or ivy, or even like your peppermints and stuff like that can be considered invasive. I would not say that they're invasive.
What, elderberry?
Yeah, but they do grow wild and require very little care, and they will multiply. But probably not like those things.
But they grow. The reason people call them invasive or they don't want them planting, it's because they grow so quick, so fast. So when you plant elderberry, it's not the fact that elderberry is spreading from that root system. It's because they're dropping so much berries if they're not harvested, to then they're spreading and they can grow 7 to 10 foot in a year, people. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can grow crazy.
They grow fast.
So a lot of times people want them illegal, but really they're a phenomenal thing to have on your farm.
Yeah. And the health benefits, y'all. Why would you ever not want those in your state?
It's a staple on our health for sure. I'm enjoying the day in the life videos. Miss Jet, thank you so much. I would rather, how-tos are easier for me. I mean, for us, really, because they're just filming usually and we got it done. But I would rather do day in the life because that's really what we do daily.
Vertically, Miss Kathy, vertically.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that comment.
She just asked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they can grow crazy wild.
Struggling with time management. Since Levy has been here, I really feel like I've struggled with time management, which I know it's a lot more required of me to tend to a newborn. But I would definitely say time management has been hard for me lately.
I don't know if mine would be time management on struggling with that. Mine is just overload myself. I'm just trying to do too much.
I will definitely agree to that.
I do way too much.
And then he had somebody asking him the other day to do something, and I'm like, Colby, it's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay.
Like, it was a financial thing. It was a question somebody asked me.
They were wanting him to do the work, and I said, pass it off to somebody else. It's okay to say no. You do not have to do everything that's just because somebody asked you to do it.
Thanks, Hank, so very much, man.
So anyway, and he did. So I was very proud of him because I was not expecting him to turn it down, but he did. So I was proud because you can only do what you can do.
Oh goodness.
Well, we are 2 minutes over our time.
Yes, we are. So we're going to be leaving here right now. Please remember, tomorrow it's a long video, but it's a great video on butchering. The reason I'm going to be biased on our butcher video, the reason I want you to watch our pig butchering video, I'm not a butcher. I don't even act like I am. So to show that you can do it at the house, you can do it at the house. I did it on the kitchen table.
If he can do it, then anybody can do it.
That's right.
That's what he's saying.
If you see the video, you literally see the table we're at right now is the table that I butchered the pig on. So my wife got mad, so don't tell her I said that. But anyways, we butchered it right inside the house. So watch that video if you're interested. You can butcher your pigs. Even if you're not butchering or raising your pigs, buy a pig that's just cut in two and go from where I'm going on the video tomorrow. It really will help. Next videos you'll see some lard rendering videos, some bacon videos, Misty's Alfredo video. We have the video of the rains from the day in the life.
We're going to give y'all some updates of upstairs. I've been getting some clips of that, kind of how that's progressing. And I have not broke out the video on any of brought the camera out. I guess I could have, but that's usually like when I'm like super high stressed, like to 1 through 10. 10's my max, and I'm like there at the 10. Like the last thing I think about is bringing out the camera. But that would have been some things that we could have showed y'all, but it's usually the last thing that crosses my mind. So
I'm just reading the comments. Hey, there was one more thing.
Lard rendering was really, really easy.
Yeah,
but we didn't have
time consuming, but not really.
We didn't have a lot of it either. Just a quart.
There was one question. Somebody, I'm acting like you now, not want to get off.
Mm-hmm.
Why we got homesteading, Jennifer, you asked. There's a video called "Why" or "Is It Homesteading" or "Why We Homestead." Talks about the 3 S's. That's a good video to watch. Also, the collaboration we did with Moorhead, kind of hinting on that too. Those are 2 good videos of why we're homesteading. It started off as a food and health movement for us, and then became more. So a great video there.
We do not have time management down to a science by no means.
We just don't sleep. That's really what it is.
Well, I do.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming on. Again, be looking for the videos coming up. We will literally be probably hitting 7 videos this week just because
we have so much
we've got
to
some
show
content.
y'all.
Yeah, we've got some content to throw out at you. So you'll see a lot of videos. We will be using the smoker in about 4 or 5 days. You'll see that video coming up. So we'll have some fun there. So God bless.
Happy homesteading, y'all.
Happy homesteading, y'all.